Moving on to the ACAC, an interesting weekend this past weekend. All the games played on Saturday. All of them played down in Muncie at Ball State. But when you take a look at the standings, Leo 3-0, Bluffton still hanging in there at 2-1, Garrett at 2-1. Those are the teams really looking to compete for the conference title at this point. Adams Central and Heritage would certainly need a lot of help. You have to think that this is Leo's conference to win.
Oh, it is Leo's conference to win, and they're very confident right now. They're playing excellent football right now. However, they still have to play Garrett and Bluffton before the season ends. So they've got a lot of hurdles to clear before they can call themselves conference champions. But based on how they're playing, it looks like they should be able to do that without too much difficulty.
That's what when I was looking at the schedules for these teams, that was the one that really jumped out at me. It's like they're 3-0 at this point, but when you're talking about Woodland this Friday, but then you've got at Garrett, and then you've got versus Bluffton. I mean, that's a pretty tough stretch as far as ACAC schedules go for Leo here down the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's not a stretch to think that Leo might trip up and lose a game, and then you're talking about ties for conference champions and things like that. But the way Leo runs the ball, and they have multiple guys that can run the ball now. Other players have stepped up other than Connor Kasser, and so they're just playing excellent football right now. I look for them to easily win this conference, but it's not impossible to think that something could happen.
I think the thing is you take a look at the 2 one-loss teams and you take a look at their schedules, and not only do you have to have Leo lose once, for those teams to win, I mean, they have to win a portion of the conference championship. They have to win out too, and you take a look at Bluffton's schedule. Heritage, pretty good team, at Adams Central, and then at Leo. I mean, they'd have to basically win straight out, and that would mean a loss for Leo. But I mean, I don't know if I could see a Bluffton team winning all 3 of those games, maybe 2 or 3, but that would be pretty tough.
Well, not very many people thought Bluffton would win 3 games this year, so Bluffton has shocked people all year long. And in the ACAC, what South Adams showed this past week is anything can happen on a given day. I mean, their 46-21 win over South Adams' win over Adams Central was mind-boggling, because Adams Central has been one of the better teams in the area all season long. They've really gotten better through last season and into this season, and you thought they were carrying it over, but it just goes to show you, if you don't show up ready to play, ready to take care of the ball, ready to defend, your butt's going to lose.
Yeah, and I see the same thing with the Garrett Railroaders. You take a look at the 3 games they've got down the stretch, South Adams, Leo, and then at Heritage to end the season. I could see them winning maybe 2 or 3 of those, but to win 3 of those, that's going to be a tough and tall task.
It'll be very difficult, but Garrett has shown that they've gotten a little bit better the last few weeks, although they barely squeaked by Woodland, only won by a touchdown. Woodland is one of those teams that they're not going to contend for anything this year, but they're a lot better than what their record indicates. I know they're 1-5, they only beat Monroe Central, but they have been very competitive this year. Last year they weren't competitive at all. This year they've made that step to where they're competitive, and so next year it appears that they'll be able to get a couple of wins. But really, this is Leo's race to win. They control their own destiny. They've been dominant all year. They're one last-minute loss to a 4A program in Lebanon from being undefeated right now. So I look for Leo to come away with this title.
I agree with you on Woodland. They are more improved than that record is going to show at the end of the year, for sure. NECC, given the win between Busco and Angola a couple weeks ago, this is really Busco's, I don't want to say going away because they could be tripped up, but right now you look at the record, 6-0, 4-1 for Angola, 4-2 for Fairfield, 4-2 for Lakeland. I think the biggest difference in this conference this year is that Fairfield and Lakeland aren't as dominant, haven't really distanced themselves from the other teams of the conference as much as they have in years past.
Well, that's true. Initially you would think Cherubusco's got Lakeland and Fairfield those last 2 weeks, and it always comes down to those last 2 weeks to determine who wins this league. But the way Busco has played this year, they've been dominant. But having said that, they really haven't been challenged this year. Fairfield and Lakeland have the capability of challenging them to a degree. And, you get in a fourth-quarter game where it's a 3-point game and the Busco kids realize, oh, my goodness, the conference championship's on the line. Kids can get nervous and mistakes can happen. So it's not beyond comprehension to think that Fairfield or Lakeland could trip them up. I don't think they will because Cherubusco's been so strong this year. But you've seen Cherubusco get upset before.
Yeah, Busco's remaining schedule, Culver this coming week, actually this coming weekend. They play a Saturday game against Culver at Fairfield and versus Lakeland. If you're Coach Etzler, you obviously don't want to lose a game, but would you like to play a game that comes down to the fourth quarter or at least the third quarter going into the playoffs? Because, I mean, Busco got knocked off in the first round of the playoffs last year. That was a surprise, and they hadn't played that many close games last year either, much like this season.
Well, it's interesting you pose that question because this week at Brian Kelly's press conference at Notre Dame, or before the Stanford game, he was asked, does it help to play a team of that magnitude? Does it help you later on in the season? He said, heck no, I'd rather be playing St. Joe High School, quite honestly. So Lee Etzler would probably prefer to play the Little Sisters of the Poor just to get a win. But, yeah, you can learn a lot in close games, and you can learn a lot in losses. You can learn a lot in those close wins. So, yeah, it's not a complete negative if you're in a close game and you somehow prevail to win. You can take something from that. And that, you know, like you said, Cherubusco is going to be in close games in the tournament.
Yeah, they definitely will be. And you take a look at the schedule remaining for Fairfield. They've already lost to West Noble, which was kind of a surprise. And then Lakeland losing at Eastside this past week, 32-19, was one of the biggest surprises, I think, of Week 6. So really, Angola kind of has to win out and hang around and hope that Busco gets beat by Fairfield or Lakeland to have a chance to win a share of the conference championship.
Yeah, Angola's had a magnificent year. They're 5-1 and 4-1 in the league. But you're right, they're going to have to rely on Cherubusco stubbing their toe to even have a share of the title. And there's no way Cherubusco stubs their toe twice and Angola wins out and gets the title alone. So the best case scenario that they can hope for is that Cherubusco takes the night off, loses, gets upset, and Angola can share a title.
Yeah, Angola's got Prairie Heights, Fremont, Central, Noble, all three winnable games down the stretch for them. So they could conceivably finish with one loss in the conference and not get a share of the conference title, which is pretty impressive, and to Busco's credit.
Right, and give the kids at Angola credit for, you know, elevating the program this year. They've had a great year, regardless of whether they win the conference championship or not. It's been a magnificent year up there for them.
All right, we are heading into Week 7. Anything to watch for specifically this week is, man, this season is just kind of fading away like the sands in the hourglass.
Well, like we talked about, all the conference races are coming down to these pivotal games, and in particular the NHC. I can't wait to see the Columbia City East Noble game, see if the dream can continue for Columbia City, because what they're doing over there is nothing short of miraculous this year.
Yeah, it seems like the NHC, we don't know what's going to happen every week, and with the SAC, everyone's been on October 15th,
right.
Bishop Dwenger, Bishop Luers watch since Week 1 when we saw them beat Snyder, the Knights beat Snyder as handily as they did.
Yeah, and Dwenger has the bye week this week, and so they can rest a little bit, get some kids healthy, and talk to Coach Schwarzkopf the other night about how odd that's going to be, and he said basically they're going to keep their same routine going because they want the kids to stay in the rhythm of practice, and you know, they're not going to change a whole lot just because they have this odd bye week.
I would imagine they would be watching a little bit of Bishop Luers, perhaps.
I'm sure they will.
I'm sure it'll be interesting. All right, that'll do it for another week of Inside the Zone. He's Tom Davis. I'm Glenn Marini, and we'll see you later.